Hey all, welcome back to the Fire and Water Cooking Channel. I am Darren, I'm your host, and today we're going to go over the differences between the Kamado Joe Classic 2 ceramic grill versus the Kamado Joe Kettle Joe that just came out this last week. We're going to go over the differences and the similarities just so you guys can know when you're looking at both of these grills. I'll be right back.
Smoking, grilling, getting hot and hotter, sous vide and chilling from fire and water.
Alright guys, so let's go over some of the basic differences here in these two grills. This here is the Kamado Joe Classic 2. So you have, in the Kamado Joe ceramic line, you have the Classic 1, they have the Classic 2, the Classic 3. And then within those lines you have either the Classic or the Big Joe, which is a little bit bigger. The Classic 2, which is this one here, is an 18-inch grill grate size. So this circumference of the grill grate in here is 18 inches. Now the Kettle Joe is 20 inches inside. The grill grates are 20 inches, so they're a little bit bigger, kind of like in between the Big Joe and the Classic. So it's not quite 24 inches like the Big Joe, but it's not quite 18 inches like the Kamado Joe Classic 2. They're both made out, all the ceramic grills, of course, are made out of ceramic. So even though they're shaped pretty much the same, this is made out of ceramic. Both the lid and the base are 100% ceramic. So they're a lot heavier, they're a lot thicker, they retain heat a lot more than the metal Kamado Joe Kettle Joe. So that's one of the differences, is what they're made out of. As you can tell, the top vent is a little bit different. It's a little bit more substantial here on the Kamado Joe Classic 2 than it is on the Kettle Joe. They're very similar as far as how they operate, where they have the little tabs, you know, so you can know when you're adjusting the temperature or the top vent for the airflow, where you know just where you are as far as the top vent goes. The bottom vent is very similar, similar design, along with the ash pan and all that. So very similar design that way. Similar design as far as the side shelves go. The folding side shelves look very similar. They both have little holder tabs here for your utensils. So there's really nothing different in that as far as that goes. They both have carts that they sit in. The Kamado Joe Classic 2 sits inside a more of a wire type cart, and but they both have locking wheels on the front. The Kettle Joe, the legs actually attach to the base, so that's not something you can actually remove from the cart and just set on top of a table like you can with the Classic Joe. So with the Kettle Joe, you pretty much have to use the cart that comes with it, and they are attached to the base. This one, you can actually take this out of the cart and put it on a table if you wanted to. Let's see, let's open this up. They both have the high density plastic handles here, so there's really nothing different with that. The Classic 2 has this latch here to hold the lid down, because the hinge on the back is a airlift hinge on the Classic 2, the Big Joes, and the Big Joe and Classic 3s. So there's a lot different manufacturer of the hinge, because these lids are really heavy compared to the metal of the Kettle Joe. These solid ceramic lids are a lot heavier, but the airlift hinge allows you to be able to move these up and down with just one finger, and they stay in place as long as they're adjusted right, so you don't have to worry about them falling when you're trying to put your food on or anything. But with that, since it is a airlift hinge, it wouldn't stay down by itself. It would always want to go up, or at least have a gap there. So they put this lid clip here to hold it in place so that it engages the gaskets, make sure there's no smoke leaking out of the lid here. You want all your air to go from out in through the bottom and out through the top. You don't want any air leaking around the sides here on the ceramic grill. So the insides are pretty much the same, and I'm going to go ahead and get you up close here so you can kind of see the difference, and I'll open up both of the grills and I'll be right back. Alright guys, I got them both opened up here, and I want to kind of show you. I have the slow roller attachment installed on the Kettle Joe just to show you what it looks like with that installed. Also, if you notice, with that installed, it's almost about the same height as the Classic 2. It's still just a little bit shorter, but with that slow roller attachment, they're pretty much the same height. Still, this is 20 inches and this is 18 inches. And you can tell we do have the separate grill grates here on the Classic 2, so you can do the divide and conquer, where you can do multi-level grilling. You can have the grill grates down lower and a grill grate set up higher, either which way you want to do it. You can also do that in the Kettle Joe, so really no difference there. So let's go a little bit closer in here on the Classic 2. I have my these are my heat deflectors here that are ceramic. They come standard in the Classic 2. You do not get these in the Kettle Joe. Also have a this was something that I had extra, is the basket, the charcoal basket. The charcoal basket attaches to your accessory rack here. The accessory rack is included in your Kamado Joe Classic 2, but the basket isn't. It's something that you can buy extra, and the basket attaches to your rack, and you can lift the whole thing out, and then you see where your ash goes into the ash pan down at the bottom. Now the Classic 2, Classic, and the Classic 3 all have these fire boxes. The Classic 1, I believe, still has a single piece, but the Classic 2 and Classic 3 have these multiple piece fire boxes. And one of the good things about the Kettle Joe is you do have that in the Kettle Joe that helps with heat retention, but we'll get into that in a minute when I go back over that. So if you see here, you got these pedals. They actually kind of lay against each other like a puzzle piece, and you got a top ring here that holds them in place. So you don't have to worry about your firebox cracking with that. And really everything else looks pretty similar inside the Kettle Joe, except the way the basket and the firebox interact, or the way they're set up. I'm going to go ahead and put this back in. So as you can tell, the charcoal basket sits on top of the firebox in here. So everything is kind of a little bit set up a little bit different than it is in the Kettle Joe, and I'm going to go over that in just a second so you can see the difference. So the basket sits inside, and then you got your firebox on the outside. You can put your heat deflectors on so that you can cook indirect. You can do one side or both sides, whatever you're cooking. So you could set your steaks over here and do a reverse sear for a while, then move them over here over to the direct heat if you'd like. And you can put your grill grates either here, or you can put them one level down. So that's the main functionality of the Classic 2. Nice big thermometer here, of course, that you can read. So let's get into what the Kettle Joe has that's a little bit different than the Classic 2. I'll be back. Alright, so let's go over the Kettle Joe and just show you a little bit of the differences in this compared to the Classic 2 here. Alright, so like I said, this is not made out of ceramic. It's made out of pretty thick metal here. It's not double insulated or anything like that. It is porcelain coated, so it's heavy duty, heat resistant. This is the slow roller. Now this slow roller can be, it is included in the Classic 3, and you can actually buy it as an accessory for the Classic 2 and the Classic 1 series. So it is something you can get with the ceramic grills, and that actually comes with the more expensive Classic 3 version. But they included one in this Kettle Joe for your smoking ability here. So And like I said, this comes with, this is your indirect plate. So the smoke would come up, hit the plate, kind of hit these sides here and kind of roll, and it increases the overall smoke penetration of your meat. So very innovative. It's one of the things Kamado Joe, only Kamado Joe has, because it's something that they patented, and they work with another company that developed this. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this so we can see what's on inside the rest of it. Alright, so like I said, the shelves are pretty similar. These are metal instead of the high density plastic like on the Classic 2. But what we have in here is, if you watch my other video unboxing, the way the grill grates are pretty much similar. Split, so you can do 2-level cooking as well. You can put them on the top, put them on the level below. But if you notice, it does have a charcoal basket, but the charcoal basket and the firebox are incorporated. So your petals here and the firebox go into the charcoal basket, which just makes it all one piece. So you can lift this whole part out to clean it. Makes it very, very simple to clean and do any kind of maintenance on it. You can actually even take these out if you don't want to use these. You can take them out. I don't know why you wouldn't, because they do help retain heat in here. That's one of the things that the Kettle Joe has that you won't find in any other kettles, is this firebox that helps retain heat in the firebox for a more even cook. So you could actually take these out and just use the charcoal basket by itself, but I would always leave them in, but you can do as you want. The charcoal basket actually creates better airflow. So as you can see, there's a pretty wide grates there. So it's going to allow the air to come up through the bottom vent and have more easier control of the flame than you would if it was just a regular grill grate or something like that. So the similarities is you get the bottom ashtray just like you do in the Classic as well, so it's easier to clean out, very similar to clean out than the Classic 2. So there is no heat deflectors that come with it. That's why they have the slow roller. You can use that for your indirect type cooking. That's pretty much it, guys. The hinge, like I said, is a little bit different. It's just spring assisted. It's not the same, because the hinge is not as heavy on the Kettle Joe as on the Classic 2 and the Classic 3, so you really don't need that air assist. It's not something that's really hard to lift up. But the spring assist does help it to where it does stay in place. It's not going to be bouncing around, and you don't have to worry about trying to find where to put it, or hooking it to the side where it still might get in your way. So you got a lot more space because of the side shelves, and not having to worry about taking up space, putting your lid here like you would on a Weber or any other kettle. So that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, the price difference is about half compared to the Classic 2 versus the kettle. Your weight is actually about half as well. So you got a much lighter grill. You got some of the same principles going into place here with the ceramic firebox. Is going to help you retain some heat, just not quite as much as your ceramic grills will. You don't have to worry about having a gasket on here because the lid fits flush. Now you could put a felt gasket around here if you were starting to see some smoke coming around the edges. It does not come with one, but you could actually put a thin felt gasket around the edge here, that if you had some issues with smoke coming out. But other than that, it's really a totally different grill, but there are some similarities and some features on both of these grills that the other one doesn't have, but there's some features that they both do have. So it's really up to you what you're looking for. If you're really looking for a ceramic grill, highly recommend the Classic 2. If you're looking for a kettle, but you want something a little bit more out of your kettle than what's out there now, the Kamado Joe Kettle Joe is really what you're looking for. $4.99, You can pre-order it now. The Classic 2, I think, sells for $1,099, and sometimes you can get it a little bit cheaper when they go on sale. Check them both out, guys. That's the differences. That's the similarities. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again on the next Fire and Water Cooking video. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Check out the Fire and Water Cooking podcast, and I'll see you on the next video.